Hello, beautiful being. Welcome to a new episode of By Sophia. Today's topic is justification. Do you know any situations where you were justifying why you did something or didn't do something? Can you go back to the feeling of that moment where you try to explain, justify what you did or didn't do? What was the feeling in that moment? Why did you believe you had to justify your actions? Trying to justify yourself is most of the time, or always actually, something we do when we are out of alignment with our core being. Maybe our first action was in alignment. It can be. But when we try to justify, explain what we did or didn't do, we fell right out of alignment with the core being. Because when we are aligned with our core being, there's no need for justification. There's no need to explain ourselves. When we are aligned with our core being, everything is the way it's supposed to be. And there's no need for an explanation. Because most of the time, the justification, explanation we are giving is not for the other person, but to assure ourselves that what we did or didn't do is the right thing. And even though maybe you acted out of alignment with your core being, in the moment you are trying to explain yourself, to others, you're not acting out of alignment. You're acting out of fear most of the time. Maybe out of anger, out of sadness, but never out of alignment with your core being. And now you know this. Maybe you did know it already, but is this just a little reminder? Now you can catch yourself in the act when you're doing it. Or maybe reflect on it when you did it. And you can work with it to transmute your actions. So next time a similar situation acts up, you can act out of alignment with your core being and not out of alignment with fear, despair, anxiety, anger. Because when you act out of these emotions, you get sidetracked from your path, from who you are. But when you can work with this, with yourself, you can come closer to living your authentic self. And when you can do that, there's no need for justification. But I know for a lot of people, there's a programmation running that we always need to explain ourselves and our behavior. But when we choose for ourselves, there's no need to justify anything. Earlier this week, I went to an event and there was a lady who asked, "Do you come here often?" And my answer was, "When it suits me." And she got it, and that's all she needed to know. And when we act out of our core being, that's always the right answer. I acted this way because it was right for me. in that time. This doesn't mean you have to be insensitive to others, or you have to ignore others. And how they feel, or what comes up with them. It doesn't mean you can do anything, whatever the consequence. Because when you act like that, it just might be you're not in alignment with your core being. Always check within yourself from where you are acting. And how you communicate with others. You don't need to justify your behavior, your actions, but you can still be respectful to the people, the beings around you. It is like setting boundaries. You can set them really tight and harsh. No matter what happens, they're always the same. But can also play with them and feel what's right for you in the moment. Because in the one situation, you need to put your harsh boundaries up. But in other situations, you can go more with the flow of the situation and see what happens in the moment. Because it might just be that in that moment you don't need to set a harsh boundary. Because it could stop you from gaining new experiences, meeting interesting people. And that's the same with acting out of alignment. Without needing justification, but still showing respect to others. In some situations, simple no thank you can be enough. In other situations, we might give a few more words. Like when we are teaching our children to live out of alignment, we might show them why we do something in that moment. Not to explain ourselves, not to justify ourselves, but to show and inspire them to live aligned out of their core being. So, next time, when you feel yourself jumping to justification, explaining and defending why you're doing something, stop a moment and reflect on your actions or your lack of actions. Reflect on your choices. See, feel with what you are aligned in that moment. Is it your core being? Or is it something else? We will meet each other soon. Much love, Sophia.